There we go. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'll keep introducing or letting people in as they come. This is the Learn to Cook webinar and a little bit of information around mental health. So how food impacts your mood here at Conestoga College. Today is Bell Let's Talk Day, and we're talking all about mental health. Bell Let's Talk is a Canadian day that we celebrate in Canada to celebrate mental health and to raise awareness of resources. And one thing often that we maybe don't tie our mental health to is the food that we're eating. And I think it's really important to recognize that what we put into our body is going to impact our body. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I will be kind of behind the scenes in this session. And my name is Braden. I am the health promotion specialist here at Conestoga. And in front of the camera today will be Dan. And Dan, I'll let you introduce yourself, but amazing to have you with us, a wealth of knowledge. So I will pass it over to you and let you take over for the rest of the session.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, Braden. Appreciate the intro. Letting us all know what we're doing here. So yeah, as Braden said, my name is Chef Dan McCowan. I'm the executive chef at Bloom and in the culinary department at the Waterloo campus. When asked to put something together for this Bell Let's Talk Day, I think it was an easy yes from my side of things. To Braden's point, I think that often we talk about personal stresses and different things going on in our lives, and really don't focus on what we're putting in our body, our fuel that we put in our body, which is really a huge impact on how we actually operate as people. So I'm a big believer in having a healthy diet, a balanced diet. I'm not saying only eat sticks of celery and never branch out and have some snack food, but I think that creating good habits, being able to cook for yourself and eat whole foods is really going to affect your mood, how you sleep, waking up in the morning feeling recharged, especially when you're, doing studies. You got a lot of things going on and you really need that brain strength. That's just not something that you're going to get a really lot of benefit when you're eating a lot of processed foods, fast food, stuff like that. That stuff can fill you up quickly, but it really doesn't, really power the brain as much as we need it to. So impacts of healthy eating, like I always think like whole foods is where my number one. I've never followed, too many diets or any sort of things or get caught up in those trends. To me, is it whole ingredients and then you put them together on the plate. That is usually the basis of what I would consider, a good start, a good basis. So when I say whole foods, I mean like literally just whole vegetables, whole fruits, quality cuts of meat, something that's not something that's processed, in a box in a freezer at a grocery store that you're just popping in the oven or an air fryer or something like that. And I think it can be really intimidating for people, especially, if you're not in the culinary arts or anything like that, or didn't grow up cooking a lot. It can be intimidating to start in the kitchen. But I think that once you get that ball rolling, it really becomes addicting. It really gives you a sense of pride. And again, I'm a big proponent of that. So I do have a video I prepared because I thought it would be a lot easier to have a team kind of do a bit of a filming thing instead of me trying to cook and move a camera around while I did it. So I'm just going to play this video for you. It's about 10 minutes or so. And then after we can do some, question and answer if you guys have anything that you'd like to ask me. Just want to also add, stick around to the end. We are going to post just a link here for a little short survey at the end. And you can enter to win a $50 gift card at a grocery store of your choice. Okay, so enjoy. Hi guys, welcome to the kitchen. My name is Chef Dan McCowan. I'm the executive chef at Bloom at Conestoga College in Waterloo. We're here today as part of our Bell Let's Talk Day to talk about healthy eating. I think as part of mental health, I'm a really big believer that diet is a huge influence on, how we're feeling overall, to not only how our body feels and our health, but just how our mind feels, how we operate, helps with struggling with fatigue, having that sharpness you need, especially when it's the busy time of being, in school and focusing on your studies. So a couple things that I'm going to do here are, I've kind of thought about a couple things that I did when I was in school that I found that were really easy to do on a budget, really healthy, and could be very versatile. So it's not like this recipe you need to stick to, but something that you can kind of just keep some staples in your fridge and have them ready to go. So you're not always just referring to, like processed foods and, fast food, stuff like that. Can be easy, can be cheap, but also healthier options to really help you have that overall, mind health and all that stuff that's super important. One thing that I started making when I was, in my teenage years, when I was first cooking at home and alone, whenever I want a snack, it's just edamame, shelled edamame. Super, super cheap. This bag I got at the grocery store is about $2. You probably get about like 3 snacks out of this. So like for less than $1, you can have a nice fresh snack. And I would always experiment with putting different sorts of things when I cook these. But right out of the freezer, you can have this ready in like, honestly, like a minute. Okay, so just a little bit of boiling water on your stove. However much you feel like doing in there, you might throw in there. These are flash frozen as they're cooked. So all we're really doing is trying to get them hot, bring them back into temperature. So these right out of the freezer onto the plate will be about 1 minute. To add a little bit of flavor like that, like sometimes I've added things like chili paste or just fresh lemon and salt, some soy sauce, whatever you've got. Like it's honestly perfect for whatever condiments you've got in your fridge or freezer in your cupboards, whatever. But even just like basic salt is like super, super delicious. So all I'm gonna do today is a little bit of chopped garlic, something that we can always kind of keep as a kitchen staple. I'm gonna take 1 lemon, half that, all a little bit of lemon juice right in the bowl. Do that, mix that around there. Like I said, all we're gonna do is make sure that this is like really heated this through. You can always just test one if you wanna make sure. But I think after just even 1 minute of being in that nice boiling water, just gonna strain this off. Okay. Nice pinch of salt. Nice bit of chili flake to give a little tiny bit of heat. And all that is that. Okay, so nice and easy. You can sit down instead of having a bag of chips or some cookies or whatever may be just easy in the pantry. That's really not going to give us that nice brain strength that we need. We're going to do something like this. That's a beautiful snack. It'll kind of quench your hunger and also give you a little bit more brain power there. Another thing that I was really focused on cooking when I first started cooking, doesn't take a chef to have to be able to put together some really super easy and healthy meals in your home kitchen. I grew up eating a ton of curry. My dad is from Guyana. It was like at least once a week we would be having a bowl of curry. So it was natural for me when I first started doing my own cooking on my own, that would be like some of the thing I would start experimenting with. So any sort of vegetables that you really like can go in a curry dish, stewed dish. You can make it spicy, you can make it light, you can add fruits to it. Like it's a perfect way to sort of use up leftovers. If I'm going to do a vegetarian one today, if you eat meat, if you had like leftover chicken, perfect. I'll take the leftover chicken, dice it up. That can go into a curry with whatever vegetables you have. So for me, it's always been a perfect go-to still to this day. One thing I would suggest that everyone should have in their home is for healthy eating and for ease of heating is a rice cooker. This is the one I brought from home. Honestly, like when you don't even know what you want for dinner, putting some rice in, getting that started, and then just getting a saute, getting whatever you have in your house. Super, super easy. Leftovers are really fun and easy to heat up. But personally, I think it's a tool that you should have in every kitchen. Looking up, you can get one from Canadian Tire or Amazon or something starting at like $30, anywhere up to a couple $100. Even a basic one that just has an on-off function is going to make you like perfectly cooked rice without having to be a chef and know exactly what you're doing. So the basic recipe for cooking rice will be like 1 part rice to 2 parts liquid. I picked like a whole grain basmati. It's my personal favorite, but white rice, whole grain, jasmine rice, any sort of thing, just into the cooker. So again, just into the rice cooker. I like to add a little pinch of salt. I'm gonna put just like little tiny spoon of curry powder in there, just put some nice flavor into the rice itself. And then one thing, I love cilantro, but wanting to make sure that we're using the whole fruit, the whole vegetables, getting max money for our dollar. Cilantro stems, do not throw these away. They are a fantastic ingredient to put in all sorts of cooking to get really nice flavor. So I'll usually just dice a little bit of those stems in there. Can be rough chopped, doesn't have to be too pretty. Right into the rice cooker and press start. Even if you come home and you're not preparing timing wise or anything, you throw rice in this thing. Once it's done cooking, it has a hold function that can sit in there for an hour, just waiting for you whenever you're ready to have your food. So it's honestly like you can do it on the stovetop in a pot, but for ease, I 100% recommend having one of these in your kitchen. So for our ingredients today, I just honestly grabbed whatever was in the fridge. I'm gonna do some onions, some sweet potato, a little bit of peppers, and an apple. So again, don't have to be a chef. It doesn't have to be perfectly pretty. We're gonna stew all this stuff together. So even rough chops or anything like that, it's gonna come together pretty nicely. Cooking can be intimidating at first, but there's no way to get better at cooking than to practice. And honestly, it can be so rewarding when you first start getting meals together that you've made yourself instead of buying. And the focus here is mental health. You can feel that you can feel the pride. You can feel that your body appreciating real ingredients compared to something that has been processed. Heavily processed foods are terrible for you. They can make you feel sluggish. They can make you feel depressed and all those sorts of things. So I think it is important for everyone to sort of practice. You're not going to make from scratch chef meals every day, but creating these like natural ability to be able to cook at home is just a huge life skill that's really going to help you out in so many more ways than just overall nourishment. So in a pan on the stove, like I said, just follow your heart. Recipes that you like. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. You can be meat. You could put beans, lentils, any sort of vegetables and fruits that you have in the house. Like I didn't plan this ahead of time what I was going to make today. I went and saw what was in the fridge and said, this will work, you know? I think it's important to make sure you're stocking your fridge with fresh vegetables and fruits. If the whole process of going and gathering everything and making it in one day can be very overwhelming. But when you're at the grocery store, kind of have an idea, just make sure you're going to get a couple fresh ingredients that you're going to have so that when it comes time to make a meal, you know, those things are accessible. The edamame snack is a perfect example, sits in the freezer and it's ready to go for you whenever. Okay, so a little bit of apple. Don't even need to peel this if you don't want. Like I said, just rough chop. All that in the pan. I have some kale here. Sometimes I will stock things like baby spinach greens. They can be good for salads. They can always, the last of it can go in whatever stews or you're cooking on the stove. You know, again, just making sure you have a lot of these things. Green, dark green vegetables loaded with fiber. One of the best things for your gut health. Always a staple to be able to put those like dark spinach, broccoli, kale, a lot of those things, super good for you and super delicious as well. For the sweet potatoes, I have a couple here I cut ahead just for the sake of the video today to make sure to save on time. But just peeled, diced sweet potatoes, those can go in there as well. See all the different colors. Sometimes I like to just even, if you've got a different medley of colors of vegetables, you know you're kind of getting a lot of those different nutrients. Like I talk about dark green vegetables are very good for you. Sweet potatoes, all these things are really going to add to it. Gonna add a little bit of garlic in here. This is a vegetarian one we're doing today. Very good for you. So we're gonna use chickpeas as our protein. Sometimes I'll use like tempeh, tofu would work good. And then also any sort of like meat proteins if that's if you like that, you know, chicken, fish. Try and keep it healthy, keep it light. We got a little bit of these chickpeas all in there, along with our vegetables. We've got a good mix of veg in here. You're gonna add a little bit of vegetable stock. Doesn't have to be vegetable stock. You can use water. If veg stock you can buy in the grocery store just like that. Gonna add a couple heavy spoons of our curry powder. And again, this is curry has sort of always been my go-to. I'm gonna add a little bit chilies because I like some heat. But all these things are optional ingredients, right? Like you don't some practice, getting to know what you like to cook. And then every time you cook, it's going to get a little easier, a little bit easier. And then you're going to really start becoming creative in the kitchen. So I'm going to add just a little bit of coconut milk as well. Add a little bit of richness and then simmer this on the stove. Let that cook for a couple minutes. Okay, so our rice, after probably take about a half hour or so, it will be cooked. Like I said, it kind of has a keep warm function, so that's ready and hot whenever we're ready to go. As this curry's kind of coming down, this has been simmering for about a half hour. It's all the vegetables are sort of cooking. All that cook time is going to depend on what you're putting in there, of course. So if you're going to start with some raw potatoes, I had sweet potatoes in there. If you have chicken, might want to add a little bit more salt. Okay, seasoning is good for me. So, like I said, we've got fresh rice right out of the rice cooker. Gonna be perfect every time if you follow those measurements. Okay. Gonna put that in our bowl. And one thing when you're doing cooking like this is you do it a little bit of a batch, as you can get ahead for your week. We're all very, very busy. You're not gonna have time to do this every single day. So nice to kind of get your week going. So what I'll do is have a couple of takeout containers. Always save the ones you get when you get takeout food, these plastic ones that can be reused. Because that way you're gonna have kind of, instead of just making yourself a meal, having to do all the dishes, make yourself 3-4 meals at a time. These can either sit in the fridge for when you're ready for them, or we can put them in the freezer and then hang on to them and really kind of get ahead so that we're setting ourselves up to not have to do a new one every single time. Right, so we'll put enough for one nice to the plate is it's not about that specific recipe. It's not about, follow these steps. If you go on the internet, you can find recipes until you're blue in the face of whatever you feel like. Getting into specifics. It's more just about talking about the exercise of building these habits to be able to, turn some fresh whole food vegetables and, meats, fruits, whatever it may be into meals, and how to kind of approach like even how I do the meal prep thing. When you're busy, it can be intimidating thinking, how am I going to find the time for that? But building these habits so that, if you do make 4 of them and pop that in the freezer, next time you're hungry, you can pull that one and kind of stay ahead, as best we can. And then also, that's one thing, if you're going to be, buying whole foods, wanting to make sure that you are getting, a bang for buck. I'm very familiar with what, the cost of ingredients is. So, if you buy a bunch of kale and then you buy a bunch of sweet potatoes and all those ingredients and you make one meal and everything goes bad in the fridge you didn't use, then that's where it's really going to be discouraging the cost of things. But, buying some fresh vegetables, and like making a salad with the things that you're using, eating like raw carrots and celery sticks. If you like, I had chickpeas there. You can get a basic chickpea hummus recipe, make those. You can roast them in the oven with a little bit of salt and pepper and a little bit of spices, and then dry those and eat those as a snack too, like as a, substitute for, chips or cookies or something like that. So just really trying to build those habits, because I know like at first it can be kind of tricky, but once you get into, what to be able to do with these ingredients, it does not only get easier, but it also becomes fun. Like how it can turn around once you start to see some good results. Does anyone have any questions at all about any of the stuff that I put together today, or any questions in general? Nobody has any questions or anything like that? Pop them in the chat or put on audio. Okay, well, I do want to thank you all for coming and attending. I put that link in the chat. So if you go on and want to follow that link, fill out just a little bit of information there about your contact information. And Braden will be doing a draw for a $50 gift card for whatever grocery store that you typically would go to. If anything does come up, you can definitely reach me at dmccowan@conestogac.on.ca. Be happy to field any questions anytime you might have about follow-ups to the video, something that you didn't want to ask at the time or comes to you later. I'm definitely always available. And I wish you a very good rest of your day and good mental health.
Have a nice day, Dan, and thank you for the session.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.